everyone. You love the music, now be a part of the movement. Press Play is building a home for artists and fans just like you, and now you can help shape it. All you gotta do is go to pressplay.me and grab you some merch and wear it really loud and really proud, and of course buy it for everybody you know. And know that you're helping musicians and music stay real, independent, and alive. And here's something really special. You can send a personal message to the artist of your choice. If we've done an interview with them, you have an opportunity to write them a note. You can write them a small message, or you can write them a whole letter, and it will go directly to them. Just click the link on any of our interviews, write from the heart, and let your voice be heard. So tune in, rock with us, and press play. Get the gear, send the love. Music lives when the fans do.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to Press Play Conversations. I am the Don. With me, of course, is Dean Baldwin, who you can hear on SiriusXM on 3 channels. Classic Rewind, Deep Tracks, Classic Vinyl. We also have Tina, the CEO of Press Play, of which we're all wearing the Music Lovers Unite shirts. You got one on too, Tina? That's a hoodie.
I do.
That a hoodie?
No, it's a t-shirt.
It's a t-shirt with the cool V-neck.
And
cut, with us is a very... Oh, I'm sorry, Tina. What was that?
I cut that in.
You did, didn't you? Styling.
Yeah.
Well, with us is a legend, somebody we admire the music for, and Leo Lyons, part of the band 10 years after, which has an iconic history. How are you doing, Leo?
Well, thank you. Yeah, I hope you are too.
Yeah.
Yes. One of the things I wanted to kick off with is... is that how you would, when you titled the album, was that what you were hoping people would go?
Yeah, it's quite common in the UK to say shush. Be quiet. Shush. Yeah, be quiet.
Well, what was it like revisiting this after more than 5 decades, 50 years? What was it like to come back to this?
Strange. Time flies though, doesn't it? It seems like yesterday, as they say. But I was pleased. When the label wrote to me and said, "We're going to re-release this thing and do, a big promotion on it, and photographs and remixes and all sorts of things." I was pleased. So I said, "Well," when they said, "Would I do an interview or two?" I said, "Yeah, sure." And they sent me the record, and I actually am pleased with it. I'm always a little bit scared to listen to something that I recorded 50 years ago, particularly, if it's been remixed or remastered or whatever, because you think, oh, what are they going to do?
Right.
69 to 2025, resample everything, but they haven't. They've been very sympathetic to it. It sounds lovely. It's clearer. You can hear all things that you couldn't hear on the original recording, and I was pleasantly surprised. Yeah, I think it's funny. They've done a good job.
You're talking about the feeling of going back and listening to something. Do you ever? I was talking to Ian Anderson earlier in the year, and he was talking about the challenge of going back and playing the older material. As you're a different musician then, so there's always this want to redo parts, and you kind of have to just leave it alone. Do you feel that way when you listen to old songs that, I should have done that differently?
Well, yes, of course. Yeah. I mean, even stuff I recorded last year, I could say the same thing about. That's why I never listen to anything afterwards.
Really?
Occasionally it catches me up on the radio or something like that, and I think, I remember that. That is 10 years after, or whatever the band is. But yes, because you always think you could do something better. Maybe you think you could do something different, but you certainly feel if you think that's it, that's the best I could ever do. Why make another record? It's progressive.
Well,
I like playing. I mean, my main thing is playing live. I enjoy that.
Yeah.
Then you can do whatever you want on the night. It's. And that's the best you can do on the night, and you get some new ideas and things. I would not like to be one of those bands that has to go out on stage and play note for note what I did on the record every single time for years and years.
That'd get boring.
Yeah, you don't change it drastically. If you change it drastically, of course, the audience are not going to be happy. Bob Dylan's a good example of that. I went to a Bob Dylan concert and Bob changed everything. His choice, but he left a lot of disappointed people, that wanted to hear what was it like before. The record, what do I remember about the record? So, yeah.
You
that said,
recorded this on 8-track, right?
yeah, the first time we recorded on 8-track. We were signed to an established label, Decca Records, very famous for classical recordings, and they had a corporate kind of thing at the time, 9:30 to 11:30 session, tea break. Lady comes around with a tea tray and cakes, and then 12 till 1 or 1:30, and then a break for an hour, and then 2:30 to 5 and finish. That's how they worked. And when we moved to Morgan Studios, which was a commercial studio, an independent studio, and onto 8-track, so we've got twice the tracks. In other words, just come in anyway. So we were able to have the drums in stereo. What the other thing was that you didn't have to record the drums and the bass all on one track, and then that would be it. Whatever else you did with it, you had to do the guitar solo over the vocals, on the vocal track when the vocals weren't singing, etc., etc. So this gave us more scope.
The same year, if I want, let me make sure I got my timeline right. The same year of Shhh, right? Wasn't that Woodstock?
Yes, it was. We'd recorded Shhh, and before Woodstock, but I think it came out shortly afterwards.
What was that like? So, talk. I've been curious when someone like you who was iconic at that festival. When you got invited, what were your expectations, and then what was it like after you performed at Woodstock? What did it exceed your expectations? Were you shocked?
I didn't. None of us did. None of us expected anything because we didn't know anything about it. We were on I think our third tour of America, 6 weeks into it. We'd done, good God, St. Louis on tour with the Newport Blues Festival with Nina Simone and Dizzy Gillespie. So we'd done the Newport Jazz Festival, Jazz and Blues Festival. We'd done I think not Atlanta, Texas Pop Festival, lots and lots of festivals. So this was just going to be another festival. And when you're on tour, you don't listen to the radio much. Anyway, you're traveling most of the time or gigging. And we knew nothing about it. We left St. Louis after the show at 6 o'clock in the morning, got into New York City at the airport. And the driver was taking us up to the festival, said the roads are jammed and it's absolute chaos. And I reckon there could be 500,000 people there. So that's the first thing I knew about it. And when we got up to Bethel, I managed to get a ride in a helicopter down to the site. I saw how many people were there. Of course, then it rained, so I spent 4 hours stuck in the back of a U-Haul truck. Not having had anything to eat at all since the day before. And then, the rain and the mud and everything else, it was kind of a disaster area, really. Golly, those people had been there 3 days. Wet, muddy, huddled around, what was there, 2 toilets? No, maybe there are 20 toilets, but it's not a lot for 500,000 people, is it?
No.
I think 26 maybe.
It wasn't as fantastic or fabulous that everyone explains, or it's meant, it's trade.
Yeah, it was an event that was spontaneous in a way, that many people. And it was wonderful that so many people got together with, well, they call them the Woodstock Nation, don't they? A whole load of people in the middle, and none of you were old enough to be there, but it was the middle of a war, and the country was very, very much polarized. And this was a whole group of people with ideals, wanting to change the world, peace and love, that clothes, fashion, love of music, free love, the pill happened. It was a whole amazing moment in time.
Did you have a sense in that, Woodstock would go on to become iconic, but when was it that it really hit you? And not just with Woodstock, but in general, because, rock was really starting to find its power. At what point in your life did it kind of hit you that you are history? You are part of history, but you are history.
Golly, when I reached the age of 80, probably. I've no idea.
I mean, has it ever? You've had to have. It had to have hit you at some point.
I hadn't thought about it. We played Woodstock. We were lucky. We could not have done it. Nobody particularly wanted to get up at 6 o'clock in the morning to go and do another gig that nobody knew anything about.
But not just Woodstock. When you think about classic rock or rock at the time and what you've observed watching an entire genre take shape and become what it is today, you're part of all that. Do you feel like there's any aspect of the story of rock that's not getting really talked about properly?
Well, my own story, I guess. I've said I feel a bit like the Forrest Gump of rock and roll. I was in Hamburg at the time of the Beatles, in San Francisco, played Woodstock, and I knew or met or played with even most of the people that now people hold, like Hendrix or Janis Joplin or people like that have passed on, that people hold up in a legendary status. I remember them being just somebody in another band that we gigged with, or in the case of those two I mentioned, I actually played with them. But I was lucky. I was lucky to have been in that place, But then again, 9 years of getting there, of not being so lucky, It's 98% rejection in the music business, and I think it probably still is. People say, you're never going to get anywhere playing that kind of music, and then all of a sudden, we were doing okay before Woodstock. We got 3 records out. They were we were an album band. We had 3 records out that were sort of in the American charts, if we're just talking about America. And it was a steady rise. We were playing to 2,000, 4,000 people a night on our own. Festivals more, obviously. And then we did Woodstock, and then we went back and we carried on touring. That tour ended. I actually rented a horse and a mule and went up into the Sierra Nevada mountains, Kings Canyon National Park, and spent 2 weeks in the wilderness. So I missed the aftermath and whatever that was on the television news anyway. Then I went back to the UK, and it wasn't until the next tour, which was probably 5-6 weeks later, we came back to the States, and people were asking about it. And what was it, And I thought, must have been something important. And then when the movie came out, that was when it really kicked into gear.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, we could play to 20,000 people on a Wednesday night in the middle of a town that I've never heard of, a university campus. And it just kept getting bigger and bigger from there. Whereas, in fact, it became so big that Alvin didn't like it. He said to our manager, we're too big. We're too big now. Just de-escalate us. And we took a year off. Mm. So I wasn't actually happy about it at the time, but in retrospect, I can see if it's too much for you, then maybe that's what you have to do. And then
you mentioned your story. Needs to be talked about, which I agree. And you think of entities like the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, which are supposed to be the keepers of the story, the docents of rock. And clearly, I think we all agree they've kind of gone off the rails. But outside of them, are you aware of any organization or anything where you have looked at and you said, they're doing a good job telling the greater story of rock? Or is that really just an absent story?
There are a few small organizations that are trying to keep it going. A lot of webcasts, things like that. I'm just trying to think what the company's called. I did a thing for. It's the NAMM people who've got a history of music. The NAMM, the people who do the shows, music. That's mostly business for instruments and things. I did an interview with them. Must have been 3 years ago now, and they're trying to capture every musician, not just that played at Woodstock, obviously, but every musician in every genre, and do an interview with them to preserve what they did. So, but that's not something that many people will dip into. I don't think, but it's there. It's like the Smithsonian or something like that, I guess.
Right.
But no, it's the show business, isn't it? Record companies want to sell records, and I've got an example. I think with 10 years after, a lot of our records, when they come out, they go gold or they go silver or they go platinum, and then maybe the record's done, the record company's moved on to new artists, and your record is steadily selling over 40, 50 years. It's gone triple platinum or whatever, but nobody applies to let's get these guys a triple platinum recording or whatever, because there's no point, no interest in doing that. And not just 10 years after. I mean, a lot of people. You look at all those soul artists and all the blues artists that came, left it a lot, and then were forgotten.
Speaking of blues, on the Shhh album, there's a song called "The Stomp."
Okay,
and to me, the Stomp really led into where ZZ Top. Like, I almost feel like a ZZ Top got influenced by a song like "The Stomp" and bands of the bluesy bands that came out at the time. I think it's a very influential song on that album.
Yeah, maybe. I never thought about that. I mean, we played with ZZ Top before there was ZZ Top lots of times. In fact, they were friends of mine for a time. When we had a rare 2-day break in a tour, I went up and hung out with them in Houston, and they took me out to a few ghost towns and things like that. But yeah, it could be. It could be. I don't know.
Well, I know. I
mean, the story crosses over because when 10 years after we broke up, then we were persuaded to get back together again by the record label. And they wanted us to record in Memphis. And we recorded in Memphis with Terry Manning, who's the engineer on the ZZ Top records.
About that.
And I think Terry tried to make 10 years after like ZZ Top. I mean, good engineer, good idea. Not my favorite record, but whether other people like it, I don't know. Actually, I must say, when we made this one, the Shhh one, that was, I thought that I really liked that.
Can you hold that up again? Hold that up again.
Sure. Yeah.
Let's get a good shot of that. There it is.
That's the thing. I've got the album as well. They sent me the album too. Some record companies I work for don't even send a record.
Makes sense, right?
Do you have a favorite recording studio and producer that you work with?
Oh. Well, I started producing myself, so I was a producer myself.
It's like my favorite.
You produced Motorhead, didn't you?
I started to produce Motorhead, and the record company wouldn't pay the bill.
Aww.
What a record that would have been!
Yeah, it was. It was good. We were disappointed. The tapes are around somewhere, but they went on.
Somebody find them.
Yeah. I was running another recording studio at the time, so I got the call as a studio manager of another recording studio. I got the call to say they've not paid the bill, Leo, so we're holding the tapes. And the band, Lemmy's calling me saying, when are we going in again? I said, I don't think we are, Lemmy. They've stopped it. Funnily enough, I went back on the road after running Wessex Studios in London, and maybe a year after that, I went back on the road again, and the studio that I managed said to me, "Oh, we've had Lemmy in." So they obviously carried on. But
can I ask you something? Oh, go ahead, Dean.
In that kind of scenario, do you own the tapes? Because the label didn't pay the bill. So are they yours to do something with? Are they Lemmy's?
The studio would own the tapes.
Really?
Yeah.
It's still the studios, even though they didn't pay the bill?
Till the bills are paid, yeah.
Wow. What a shame.
You get a lot of tape. You have a lot of tapes. You have to get rid of tapes if you're running it. And nowadays it's all digital stuff, so it's not difficult. But 2-inch reels of tape, 5 or 6, 10 reels for a record, they all mount up, and then we periodically, even after people have paid the bill, periodically we used to deliver them.
Is there value to that kind of thing now that Lemmy's gone? Is there value to that kind of thing? Like if someone,
everybody's looking for unreleased tapes, whether it's a bootleg or whatever. I mean, on this particular record, there's a live recording from Helsinki in 1969 on the 10 years after release now, which is not, I'd not heard it before. It could have been, I guess it was a radio show that was recorded, or TV show or something.
Wow.
And it finds its way to the surface.
And the record company found it. And they're really glad to find it. Yeah.
So since we're talking about this, Shhh, do you have one of the things, and Tina, I'll get into this too, is the song story. Every song has a story. Do you have a particular story of any of those tracks, either in the recording process or in the creation of the song, that affected you, gave you goosebumps? Was there a moment during the recording that hit you?
No.
No.
No. You put your all into it. I mean, the way 10 years after work was really quick. I think the most length of time we spent in a studio was really about 15 days.
You were efficient. You were efficient with your time.
Or lazy. Yeah. I think we were lazy. I mean, here's the story. Alvin really wanted to have all the songwriting. So even though I am a songwriter, I was a staff songwriter in Nashville up until, 10 years ago, 13 years ago. But he had to have the songwriting. So, and imagine the scenario, you're touring constantly, but you have to at that time, put out 3 albums a year. So you do an American tour, you're on the road, 7 weeks on the tour, and it's not like it is now. It's 7 weeks every gig, maybe 1 day off. And then you get back and you're home for a week, and the record company says, okay, we've booked some time in the studio. You've got all the songs. So all of a sudden, Alvin has to write something. A lot of the time when we went in, he had a basic idea, and we jammed the songs out in the studio. Basically, that's what happened. Everybody contributed whatever they did, but Alvin always wrote the lyrics, so it's difficult for me to. I mean, I think some of the songs I particularly like. I think I'd Love to Change the World, for example. I thought that was the best song Alvin wrote on this record. I don't know. You said this. You mentioned the stomp. I'd never thought about it as perhaps like ZZ Top. Some people write to me and they say, oh, your bass playing, Leo, is just like Geezer Butler's. And I think to myself, thank you, but we were playing before Geezer Butler, so maybe. Right. And Geezer himself said, I nicked all Leo Lyons licks, but.
Yeah, that was my point, though. You might have been an influence too as ZZ Top. I mean, we'd have to confirm with them, but it seemed like I know Dean. I think Dean one time when we confirmed this, that it was OMD, the new wave band that
Orchestral Maneuvers in the Dark was actually a big influence on them during the Eliminator.
Right. Yeah. Influences are an amazing thing.
But I think you someone said, where do you get your influences from? And someone said, well, from other people's records. And I think that's quite common that people do that. I mean, Leslie West said to me, Mississippi Queen, he said, I nicked your bass riff from Good Morning Little Schoolgirl and played it backwards.
Wow.
What a compliment.
Yeah. He didn't say, so I'm going to give you half my money. No, he didn't say that. but that's kind of what happened.
I mean, you mentioned you were like the Forrest Gump of music, Hamburg, the Beatles when they were getting started, and Hendrix and Joplin. But who influenced you to want to become a musician?
I had a love of music right from an early age. I mean, my aunt and uncle had a wind-up gramophone, and they had these records. They had Howling, Hoddy Leadbelly playing Goodnight Irene, and Jimmy Rogers, the country star, doing She's in the Jail. I mean, yeah, he's in the jailhouse now. Those were the first two records I heard. At the same time, or within that period, skiffle hit the UK. You know, it's like Lonnie Donegan, and it's like bluegrass or country music or folk, American folk music, if you're not familiar with it. But three chords, you know, you could have 3 chords and you could play along.
Yeah.
And the whole of the UK was taken up with that, and that's what hit me. But I didn't expect to do it for a living. I just did it because I had a love for it. And
Leo,
like a lot of people.
Do you remember
Sorry?
the first concert you ever attended?
Yes, I think I do. I think it may have been Cliff Richard.
Oh,
Cliff
nice.
Richard and the Drifters, or Del Shannon. You know, that kind of era.
Yeah.
And what a thrill it was. Yeah.
You looked up on the stage and said, "Okay, that's what I want to do."
I didn't even think that. I was just in awe of it all.
Well, how did you fall into this?
How I fell into it. Actually, I went for guitar lessons. I was playing guitar at the time, and my music teacher introduced me to these 2 guys, and they were coal miners. They had a what you would call a garage band now. They'd rehearse, depending on night shifts, rehearse every week and maybe play somebody's wedding or what have you. And I thought, yeah, that'd be great. I'll go and play with them. And they had 4 guitar players. So they needed someone to play the bass. And I thought, well, okay, I'll play the bass on the bottom 4 strings of the guitar, which I did, plugged into someone else's amp. And I kind of just took to that and really enjoyed it. I sold my bicycle and saved up some money and bought a bass on hire purchase, which is, I think you call it layover. You pay so much and then you take it away and you pay each month. Yeah. And so we were doing that, and we did a gig, a talent contest in our town, Mansfield, where I come from, and the manager of one of the top local bands was in the audience, and he saw me play, and he said to me, "We're going to turn professional next year. Would you be interested in joining us?" So I said yes, and I hadn't thought about it before. It was just an impulse. I said, "Yeah, okay," and I joined them, and we worked, and we went out and we started playing, and they were doing real gigs, and you know, lots of girls dancing around the handbags, and you know, teddy boys.
That's what hooked you.
Yeah.
How old were you? How old do you think you were then?
15, maybe. Just coming to leaving school. No, I'd be 16. So I left school, and we'd got a year. So I just took a job just to tide me over for the year, and that was when I knew what I wanted to do. That I wanted to be a musician. I'm 3 weeks into working with that band. The guitarist left because his father said he couldn't turn professional, and Alvin answered an advertisement, and he was 15, so I'd have been 16. And we worked together then for years with personnel changes, band name changes, personnel changes, but the 2 of us always stuck together until 1966, 67, when our 3rd drummer, Rick Lou, joined, and shortly after that, Chick Churchill, and then we became 10 years after.
Wow.
And yeah, and it was tough, but I didn't give up. I didn't want to leave the band and then find they were successful. That would have been too much.
Oh, can you
imagine? Put in a year and 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, 6 years, and then you leave, and then all of a sudden they have that break, and
like Pete Best, right?
Yeah, yeah. I've seen how it affects the people that have left.
Right. I mean, I couldn't imagine. Like, oh my God, what?
Yeah.
Head, Tina.
I want to go back to the Woodstock days when you pulled up in Woodstock. You were like everything is kind of like peace and love. We play a game here. It's called Song Story Game. And one of the questions in our Song Story game is, if you could dedicate one song to the world, what would that be?
I mean, it would have to be "I'd Love to Change the World," wouldn't it?
Yeah.
I just that title.
Yeah.
I
encourage everybody that's watching this to go out and listen to it right now.
It's a beautiful song.
Your dedication from Leo Lyons to you.
Yeah.
I'm curious from your perspective.
I still don't know what to do. I think about it. Best not to think about it. I think music is an important thing. It's food for the soul, and I would encourage anybody, no matter how bad they are or how old they are, to just take up a musical instrument and just for your own enjoyment and play it. It's
Leo,
great.
I'd like to get your perspective on something. This is not it's not a political question. It's an observation question, because you had talked about it. Time of Woodstock is very polarized. Obviously, the world is very polarized today.
Yes.
When you look at and compare, would you say it's the same as it was in the late 60s? Is it not as bad, or is not as polarized, or do you think it's more so?
Golly, it seems to be. I think the media, the whole media, the exploitation of not just the media itself, but the access to the media that people have. We hear instantly when someone says something or something happens in anywhere in the world, immediately. So we're aware of it. It's a very depressing environment that we're living in because it's instant. You asked me, what about Woodstock? I didn't know anything about it till we got there. And it wasn't quite so instant. I mean, in those days, I was aware we had the major thing was the Vietnam War, and then the Irish, the IRA situation. We were having bombs in the UK, but it wasn't blam 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 blam. Another 6 people stabbed in somewhere that you've never heard of. Another 10 people blown up. Another bomb. Another this. Another that. And it's 24 hours a day now. So it seems worse.
Yeah, those things
it feels worse.
Time we just didn't know about it, right?
Yeah, I think so. And that's not good for the psyche, is it? It's so it makes people, more people having mental problems and what have you. Here we don't have shootings like you do, but we have stabbings, which is. But we catch up. The UK usually catches up with what's happening in America. The bad things that are happening in America generally spread over to here. We're having more shootings now, and politics is polarized.
Right.
I honestly don't know. I watch the television and I think, oh my God.
That's why I just don't even watch it. Just turn on your music.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, all it does, it makes you either sad or angry.
Yeah.
And it's a negative emotion, and you can't do anything about it. And often the way other people behave, if you can not let it get to you, the most things that annoy you are the reaction you get from other people, aren't they? They're not so much your own.
Right.
You stub your toe, you go, oh shit, or you do something stupid and you're angry with yourself, but that's nothing. It's when you see someone else saying the same things that you think are awful time after time after time, and you start thinking, why doesn't people get this? Why doesn't something happen? Why isn't why? And then you get stressed out. So play music, music, listen to music and play it.
It's interesting.
Sorry, you want to go first, Dean?
Yeah, as I'm listening to him, I'm sitting there thinking, because it was very polarized in '69. It's very polarized now, but it seems like the societal voice chose to produce art in the late '60s. A lot of songs were written, so there was a good that came out of that era in the terms of art. If we look at today, it's not so much art that gets produced; it's social media posts. That is the content or the voice of choice. So yeah, I don't know if we'll have the same. We'll come out of this era in the same way that we came out of the '60s. So it just kind of clicked.
Probably not. I mean, the whole music business changed after Woodstock. The popular music business changed because all those bands that we think about now from the '60s were all what were called underground bands. They were bands that were going out and playing for love, and promoters that were booking them. They wanted to make money, but they were into the music. And then the success of Woodstock caused the media to wake up, and the lawyers moved in, and the record companies thought we could make a lot of money out of that, and they spent more money and signed artists, and they gave them album deals, and they spent money on promotion, and then it was, the more promotion you spend, obviously the better your chances of, not guaranteed, but you better your chances of making it. My son works in the country music industry, and I asked him a couple of years ago, maybe 10 years ago now, what's it cost then to you just want to put out a single with a new artist? And he said, about 150,000 just to release the record. Otherwise, you got to do the promotion, the radio tour, and this and that and the other. So the whole business changed. It really changed. And I was talking to someone today. My love of music goes back to the listening to stuff from the 1900s, the 1920s, 30s, 40s, particularly the 50s, 60s, and 70s. A lot of artists now listen to what's already being done and try to do something pretty much the same, without going back to the roots. I mean, obviously there are exceptions,
Right.
and it's an ageist thing too. But I don't think 10 years after we're in any way the leaders in lyrics, but I listen to a record and I think, what's this about? It's garbage. The lyrics are garbage, and I can't hear them.
Mm-hmm.
They mix stuff down so much. You can dance to it, but
Yeah.
it's. But that's a generation, I guess.
Right.
Yes.
But it
So
goes round. It goes round in a circle, so it'll come back round again. And maybe just this one, this will do it.
my next question, Leo, is have you been listening to any band lately that you've just discovered that you'd like everyone else to kind of check out?
I'm a big country music fan or alternative American music fan. Ashley Judd, I like. Oh God, there's so many. Do you know? I subscribe to it, although I don't get paid by it. I subscribe to Spotify, and I listen to a lot of stuff on Spotify. So I don't necessarily follow a particular band. I listen to a record and I think that's great. A whole list, and half the time I don't remember the names, but that's the kind of thing I like. There's some stuff out there. There is some really good stuff out there, and it may not be mainstream.
I wonder if they know you're listening to them.
Sorry?
I wonder if they know you're listening to them. I mean, what a compliment that would be.
Some people do. Yeah, some people. I say some people write to me and said, "I listened to you, and that's why I forget the name of the band now. They were really huge."
Yeah.
And the guy wrote to me and he said, "I saw you, and that's what made me start wanting to do what I'm doing now." I mean, I felt the same about the people I saw.
One of the biggest compliments I think you can get is when somebody covers your song. Tesla actually covered at 10 years. Did you ever hear it?
No.
Wow. When you get a chance, we'll add it into the interview, but Tesla, who we've had on here several times, great rock band. They covered I'd Love to Change the World, and it's amazing because Jeff Keith's vocals are extraordinary.
Was that the girl singer?
Yeah, it's a glorious tribute.
I've heard that. Yes, it is good. It was in a movie, wasn't it? I think.
Yeah, it's possible that they might have made that for a movie, but it's a great song.
Yeah.
Well, Tina, anything else?
I don't think so. I mean, I do. Leo, I have so many questions, but I don't want to take up your whole day.
We should have started earlier.
How about one more? Ask
Okay.
another one. One more. He's got time.
I'm just gonna draw from the deck. So this is, you ready? It's gonna be whatever comes up. So let's see what we got. We gotta put on the glasses. Okay. Woo-hoo. Describe your first kiss with a song, Leo.
My first what?
Kiss.
Your first kiss.
Your first kiss you ever had to the song you were listening to.
Or what song reminds you of your first kiss?
That's a difficult one, isn't it? That is difficult.
We're here
I
to
think
make you think.
How about your first dance? Did you ever have a first dance with someone?
I play music. I don't dance.
That's me.
Greatest
That's always
quote
been my
ever.
answer.
That's the
always been
greatest
my
quote
answer.
ever. That's the greatest quote ever.
I think it would be sometime around when I was about 13 years old, and I went to the local dance hall and stood around looking at the girls and listening to rock and roll music. You know, probably Buddy Holly or something like that, and pluck up the courage to go over and ask them to dance, but you just didn't really dance. You know.
No,
Leo,
but
that's a
the
T-shirt.
fact that you
I want
tried-
that. I want that on a T-shirt. I play music. I don't dance.
I play music. I don't dance. Love it.
Greatest
You know,
quote ever.
there's a program on television in the UK here. It's called Celebrity Dancing or something like that, or Strictly Dancing, or Strictly Celebrity Dancing. I don't know, but my wife watches it, and I watch it, and I wish I could dance because those people look fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's definitely an art. You know,
It
Yeah.
the way you can
it
just
is.
walk and have that poise. But
Yeah, I don't have.
not me. No, nor do I. Nor do I.
I'd be voted off the first ever episode.
I wouldn't even get on it. I wouldn't get on it. There's no.
Leo,
No
do you
chance.
remember your first kiss?
Yes, I think I do. Yeah, I think I do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No music was playing even in your
And
head.
if you're listening,
That was 60 years ago, 50 years ago. I think you're okay.
it could be. It could be. I went to an all boys school. You know, I didn't really know much about girls.
Oh, there you go. That kept
But
you out of trouble.
Well, it did. Yeah, but you know, I was very shy.
Well, I
And
bet
the
that
uniforms.
kiss meant something, though.
Sorry.
I bet that first kiss really meant something then if you were spending all your time with boys.
Yeah, it did. It did. Yeah. Yeah. I remember that my friends at school all taking the mickey out of me, or the piss as we call it. Yeah.
What is that?
Well, so anyone saw you with this girl? You know.
Give them a hard time.
Give them a
Yeah,
hard
give
time.
you a hard time. Yeah.
Yeah.
Kids are cruel. I know.
Yeah. I think
I
I
was a victim.
fell in love with a lot of ladies on pages of magazines and things. You know.
Absolutely.
I don't mean those magazines. I don't mean girly magazines. I mean, you know, a magazine, anything, or
Like
a movie star, or you know, that kind of thing.
Oh, who was your first movie star crush? Do you remember?
Oh golly, I don't know. But, do you know? I don't. I've no
Were
idea.
you a Marilyn fan?
Not particularly. Maybe Gina Lollobrigida, or
Oh yeah.
you know, some obscure movie star.
I just like saying Gina Lollobrigida.
Brigida.
Oh my God, I can't even do it. Gina
Yeah.
Lollobrigida.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
forget it.
She was
Love
I think she was a beautiful woman, and then somebody didn't take her seriously as an actress, and she just said, "Okay, then I'm gone," and she quit. So she has something about her, I think. But lots and lots. You know, you can fall in love, can't you, watching a movie?
Yeah.
As a young person, I mean, I don't mean now.
Well, Leo, again, thank you for taking time out, joining us, talking about. This was a great conversation. There was so much in there. So thank you for
Thank
spending
you.
time with us.
Yes, thank you.
I could.
Oh, Gina's a robot.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Good to talk to you.
Yep, no problem. So stay right there, Leo, for a second. Hopefully,
Okay,
Tina, your
of course.
connection will clear up. This is Press Play Conversations. We'll be back next week. Again, Leo Lyons, 10 years after. Shh is out again. Go listen to it, play it, and give it the resurgence. This could be the one that breaks back. And then Leo, everyone's got posters of Leo on their wall. That's what we want. So, thank you again, everybody, and we'll be
Pleasure.
back.
Thank you. Good to meet you all.
Thank you.